You and I are casual gamers and don't have the time to master some 30-day plan on getting better with our aim. So today, I'm going to give you the 5 things that I did in one night to fix my aim. And tip number 4, I guarantee you haven't heard of. That was my attempt to get you to stay for the entire video. Did I do okay? Tip number 1 is going to be predictability, or prediction is what I call it. So I do this every night, but you can do it at night. It fixes your aim. It's super easy. Let's be honest, you and I are casual gamers, dad gamers. We play a limited amount of hours during the week, so we got to be able to take advantage of that. But we also know the map, okay? We've been playing Verdansk for a very long time, Rebirth for a very long time. Call of Duty hasn't given us a new map in a very, very long time. That's a different video. But what that means is we know where people are going to be inside certain buildings. So let's take a look at this building right here. I know if I'm in this building that most people hide on this stairway. So I can come over here and I'm putting my crosshair and centering. And I'm not talking about centering so you're looking at the floor or anything like that. It's putting my crosshairs where I think the enemy is going to be. Now, I do that because I know where they're going to be, because I would be there too. You would be there too, right? So we would be right in this hallway right here hiding. If they'd be right behind this door into this corner right here, up here on these boxes. If you're a bot hiding in a corner, we've all ran into them. Let's just be honest. So placing your crosshairs where they're going to be. Yes, we have boxes, which is great. We're going to open those. But knowing in a gunfight where they're going to be. They're going to be in this window right here. They're going to be above us on the stairwell. So if I'm coming up the stairwell, look at my crosshair. It's going to be right where they're going to be. I know there's a ladder right here, so I can put my crosshairs there. I'm not aiming like this. I'm just putting my crosshairs where the enemy is going to be and predicting where I think they are going to be. So I spent all night practicing putting my crosshairs there, and you would be amazed on how well and how many kills you get and how many gunfights you win because you are predicting where they're going to be. You're not a mind reader or a palm reader. You just played the game enough where you know where people are going to hide, whether it's in this building, storage town, stuff like that. That all is a defining moment of where they're going to be. You can come out front. You know there's going to be people that could be hiding in this truck. See, I'm using my, right here, I'm using my crosshairs, put it right there in the truck. I'm just putting my crosshairs where they're going to be, like this door. And if I'm on the door, I'm aiming center. Just keeping in mind that that's where people are going to be. If I'm sliding around, I got my crosshair right there in the center. Makes it easy to do right there. Super simple, easy. But tip number 1, predictability. Put your crosshairs where you think the enemy is going to be. And then when you're right, you kill them. Tip number 2 is I stopped taking gunfights at ranges that I had no business in taking gunfights in. So let me explain. I have an SMG, that is for close range. That is for 10 to 15 meters. So if I'm down here, this wall right here is 13 meters. So I could take a gunfight there. This wall behind it is 17 meters. That's about the range you want to take for an SMG. Out here, it's going to be 37 meters. You don't want to be taking a gunfight with an SMG at 37 meters. So I, to fix my aim, took gunfights at a shorter distance. So 0 to 20 is going to be your SMGs, right? So this box, 8 meters. Over there is 9 meters. You get closer over here, 15 meters. So it's that bucket right there. Learning that distance, 18 meters. So that's the distance you want to take SMGs. Now, here's where a lot of players, you and I included, were messing up and making mistakes. So when we are taking long range engagements, we are taking them too far and we can't really see the enemy. And I'll show you what I mean right here. Okay, so this gas station is a perfect example, right? So if we go in here, I click on that, that's 74 meters. Your likelihood to win that gunfight, like this guy. He was flying in on me. But he was coming in on me. That's a good example of, hey, that's going to be a little bit closer. Again, 72 meters here. I killed him, probably started shooting at 30 meters. You want to take long distance gunfights, 50 meters or less. You don't want to take it out if you can, unless you're sniping. I will give you the caveat. If you're sniping, that makes total sense. But if you're not, so let's look at these ranges. That's 116, too far. 60, That's about right. I wouldn't go farther than 60, 50 to 60. Like this guy right here. Look at him. He's 75. I'm gonna let him come in a little closer. Do you see how easy that is? That's 49 meters. The 49 meters, 50 meters, like I was just saying, is way easier to kill people than it would be at a longer range. So you want to make sure you're taking them closer. That's the good way of doing it, the best way of doing it, really, because you get a more guaranteed kill. So when you're looking at gunfights, just kind of learn where everybody is and how far everything is away. You know, storage town is there. This guy wants to come back and fight me. Let me show you how to close the distance on an SMG, right? He's up here. We're gonna be right around here. See, he's right there. Laid up. But we're gonna show you, like we're gonna jump down. All right, let's do it again. There we go. 40 meters, AR, won the gunfight. Lost it before, but won the gunfight that time. So keep in mind the distance. Like I said, 50 meters, 40 meters. Hey, I'm not perfect. You just saw me get killed in an SMG. I missed all my gunfights. And I could have took that out in editing, but I didn't. I wanted you guys to see that, hey, I'm just a regular gamer like you. Some I win, some I lose. I misjudged that gunfight. This guy right here. See these guys? We're gonna get that guy, and we're gonna get that guy. Those are a little bit further, but they're standing still, not moving. So it definitely wants to make sure we're not taking gunfights way over here. Okay? Longer gunfights are less likely to kill. Shorter gunfights are more likely to kill. So that is tip number 2. Those first 2 tips are super valuable. And if you want more tips or you just want exclusive videos for yourselves, I have now opened up memberships, guys. So starting at $2 all the way up, you can be different levels of members. You get your different levels of stuff, and you're also going to get special videos just made for you. So if you want to be a member, go ahead down below, go ahead and subscribe as a member. I really appreciate it. And I thank you guys as much as possible. I will make sure I take care of you guys as my members. And to teach that guy a lesson, I'm trying to talk about members. Tip number 3 is I stopped making meta loadouts because they were just meta. I made loadouts that guy could control the recoil, but still has a fast time to kill. If you look at the ARs between the Cypher, the Kilo, it really doesn't matter what is meta at the moment. They're only going to be meta by a few milliseconds, maybe 20 to 50 to 60, maybe 100 milliseconds. Think about that. That's not even 1 second. So I'm not going to be worried if the next gunny has a gun that's 100 milliseconds faster, because we want accuracy and consistency. So I switched from doing all that. I made my loadouts for recoil control and still a good fast time to kill. And I'll give you an example here. The Kilo right now is the meta. It's great. It works good. They're going to use it in World Series of Warzone. But the recoil is super easy to control, right? So if I go in here, I can go ahead, look at the recoil. That's easy. I'm not even holding anything down on my controller, like nothing, right? So I aim in, nothing hold. Look at that. That's not hard to control. It's just up. So all I do is make sure my stick doesn't go up. You know, if I'm at this range, that's the ranges, right? 100 meters is a little far. We talked about that earlier. But in the loadout screen, when you're making your loadout, you want to make sure you're compensating for the recoil control, especially when you're trying to win more gunfights, okay? So the compensator is always going to be vertical recoil and recoil stabilization, which is great. And then you're always going to use the vertical foregrip for the horizontal recoil and the recoil stabilization on that one. Now, if you're going to do an 8 build, you can throw on the fire mod for recoil springs to get you extra recoil control. But most people like you and I, casual gamers, dad gamers, we're going to do a 5 attachment build. It's just going to be easier. And then on the visual recoil, this is where it gets sneaky. On the optics, if you choose a 3x, 4x, 2x, they limited the recoil gun kick on some of these, and they limited the visual recoil. So like the R&K multi-zoom that I use is the recoil gun kick. At the 3X has great control of recoil gun kick. So then visually, when I am seeing it, it doesn't mess me up. So if I go back into the firing range, and let me show you, the 3X has very little visual recoil, okay? But let me show you the 7X. This thing jumps. So watch, 7X, see that jump? So it's a little bit harder to control. You're going to be mounting. So I don't use 7x that much. I use the 3x because I get the recoil gun kick out of that sight there, and it makes it so much easier. So I stopped building my loadouts that way. I build my loadouts for recoil control and fast time to kill. You don't need the fastest time to kill, because if you have the fastest time to kill, but you can't control it and you miss shots, it doesn't matter. It negates it. So let's be smart. Make a gun that is like good time to kill and good recoil control, because the more shots you hit, the more gunfights you win. Tip number 4, and I promised you that nobody's talking about this right now, and you didn't know this either, is lowering my FOV, or field of view. So normally people run 120, right? That gives you the most movement. You can see everything. Your character moves faster, but there's a caveat. So increasing my aim, I go in and I go to graphics and I change my view all from 120 to 110. And I bring everything in a little bit closer to my screen, because when that does that is I get a better aim assist response because the operator is closer to me and the operator is bigger on my screen. So then I can see him when I am killing him. So by doing that little trick right there, 120 to at 110. Now you don't want to go lower, because I think console players are at 90 with their PS5s and Xbox when they first start out. That's going to eliminate that side peripheral, and you won't be able to see as much real estate, and your character will feel a little sluggish. So 120 to 110 does the two things. Aim assist increases, and it brings that operator closer to your screen, which makes him bigger, which makes it easy for you to see him when you are killing him. So that is just that little trick. You can go to 105. If you're playing multiplayer, 105 is great. 110 is the sweet spot where most pros I play, most of my friends play. It makes it a little bit better and a little bit easier, and it helps you win gunfights. I did it the other night, changed it from 120 to 110, was super happy with the results, and I won more gunfights than I lost, just based on that two factors of bringing it closer and the aim assist feeling stickier when you are on controller. My mouse and key, friends, it definitely works for you too. Bring that in. You're aiming with your arm. I know we could argue later about what's better, but it still helps for you if you bring that FOV that closer to you, because you can see it here in the gas station, right? This is 110. And then if we go over to the setting here and we change it back to 120, you can see how it's definitely further away, right? So I bring that in. I just want to make sure I give you a visual of what that looks like. That's 120. And then we're going to go back to 110 here in the settings. So a little bit closer, as you can see, but 120, 110, 110, stick your aim assist. That's the way to go. Tip number 5, you've probably noticed it, or maybe you haven't. I'm going to show you anyway. But when I'm in a game, look at my crosshairs here, right in the center. See that big yellow crosshairs? Very big, a different color than yours. See the contrast beside? See the contrast compared to the environment we're in? You're going to want to change that. You want to make sure you go into the settings here. You're going to go all the way down to interface. You're going to go to gameplay HUD and then down to crosshair. First, make sure it's on. Then go to show more here. I'm going to make sure I'm showing it on my screen. Perfect. So I have it on, and then you want largest. You want that bigger one. You want that biggest one possible. And then the spread on. You want 100% opacity, and then the color. You can actually change it to whatever color you want. I'm colorblind. It's pretty funny. People call it out in videos all the time. But yellow for me stands out against the environment. So pick a color that stands out for you on the environment, because in tip number 1, we talked about putting your crosshair where you predict people are going to be. So you want to be able to see that crosshair and make it as big and beautiful as possible, so then you can see it when you're placing it on where enemies are going to be, or when you're zooming in to kill people. And hey guys, if you want more videos from me to help you get better at Warzone, go ahead, check these 2 videos out right here. They're freaking amazing. I love them. You guys will love them too. And hey, if you have time, hit that new hype button on mobile. They're helping out small creators like me grow by hitting that hype button. So go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn notifications on, because I come out with 3 videos a week to help push the community forward and help dad and casual gamers like us get better. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks.